This is like a, I guess say for the initial test, and if you remember back on episode 3, it was that we were on the quest to build a battery operated drill. I think we finally completed it.
Okay.
It's nice and strong
this
too.
This is a 3-speed drill, and I'm just going to put it on the lowest speed because you'll have much more power, and it won't get too carried away on the equipment. So here we go. This is the first time I'm trying it right now.
That's nice.
Sweet.
It's faster. It's a lot faster too.
Oh, is that nice?
Just imagine doing it on like a 3-speed.
Good. I'm telling you, it's good.
And then if we do it on like 3-speed, that'll be.
The ice must be a good thick.
If this thing is like, this fast on the first speed, I wonder what it's gonna be like on the third.
I'm gonna blow out a little bit more of this slush.
It's like a.
Down here. Man, that nice. That was the nicest thing I ever tried.
And that thing didn't even bog down one bit. It just tore through the ice like mad. Just tore through the ice.
I got a special deal on it, but it still was quite a bit of money. But it came with that and a little 1/4-inch impact wrench.
Oh, the impact wrenches.
Oh yeah, that'll be really nice and handy. I already used it yesterday. You can use it like you can put in drill bits and stuff too. I put in a Phillips head screwdriver, and I was doing my we had a big draft in our bedroom by our studio, and I decided to put some plastic on the one window.
Yeah.
And that little, it was just handy. I mean, I could have done it with a hand. I think we're maybe at about 9 inches thick.
It kind of looked.
Yeah, measure it. I got this old rusty. Okay. 10 inches maybe. 10 to.
And no, that's not like ruler wise. Like if you were to measure it with a rule, you wouldn't be getting the same results.
Okay. So we got some different tip-ups here. This one here is pretty good with this one. And since it's very shallow right over here, all I do is I just barely stick any line on. This is a special homemade leader, because usually you get northerns on tip-ups, sometimes bass. We can get anything on them, but generally speaking, you're kind of going after northerns. On this lake here, and I think most Wisconsin lakes, it's a 26-inch limit. So you have to it has to be 26 inches or more long for a northern. And
Yeah, and we'll be posting the correct result if we're wrong. Like,
oh, that's the rate.
Is that it?
Oh yeah. You know that for a fact.
26
You
inches.
don't even have to. 26 inches, and you're allowed
Says a
to
little
keep
squirmy.
2 of them. Used to be 5.
Yeah, is it because like they're being overfished or something?
Yeah, and 2 is pretty good. When you catch 2 26-inch or more northern,
Oh yeah.
that's plenty of food.
You got plenty of scratch to go around.
Don't even keep them anymore. They do get catch and release. I kind of enjoy eating fish, especially this time of the year if we go lake fishing. It tastes like poor man's lobster northern. It's so sweet and so good, and the meat's very firm. Very good. Okay, so we got one hole drilled there. I like this spot right here.
Tell you what, before you start talking again, I'm gonna probably take this out of its case because Alright, I'm recording again.
Okay, I'm gonna try it. I don't know where I should put another one. Okay, I'm gonna try putting.
Maybe it's because there's like a snowboard track right there or something.
It's gonna be good right here. Man, is that something else? Put one there, and I think I usually like putting one. I'm just trying to think of where else I should try putting one. One there. It's a pretty good spot. I like to put one there, but boy, I hope it doesn't go.
That's true.
I'll give it a shot.
This is the first time this year that they've put snowmobile tracks that extends into the bay, I think. Nice.
You want to try it once?
Oh boy.
Well,
I'll be
let you try it
obliged.
when maybe go through a couple jigging holes. I guess even the propane ones are it's a regular engine, and they're so noisy. So it's kind of irritating. Some people will go out and they blast in about 20 holes.
Yeah.
So that they can go jigging wherever they want, and it's just so noisy and it scares the fish. So sometimes it doesn't bother them so bad, but when the fish are kind of spooky, you do that and it takes you half an hour to catch fish after that.
Yeah.
So,
And then the drills, the I guess the the converted battery drill that we have is like it's nice and quiet.
yes, indeed. It's probably maybe even more quiet than a hand drill because it just doesn't last very long. It just and you're done.
Yeah.
A hand drill, you're sitting out there monkeying around for a while drilling it.
And that thing's only on the first speed. I wonder what it'll be like on the third one. Be a little bit nuts.
I talked to my neighbor Rick, who I respect very much. I mean, he's like, if he tells
A father,
you
basically.
it's gospel. It's gospel. And anyway, he says that the other speeds, it kind of will bog down because yeah, it might spin faster, but you don't have as good a torque.
Oh, that's true.
And I don't know how much faster you need to drill a hole than what we just did anyway.
Because that took us just a couple of seconds to do, really.
Not even. It was like
Not even.
done. It was done now.
Yeah.
That was sweet. I loved it. I am thoroughly happy. Now, I think I showed you it in the other one. I'm going to do that again. If you ever have a steel leader or any leader, you don't want the thing like all looped around and wiggly. For some reason the fish look at it and they say, what the heck is that? But if it's just hanging straight, it works better. So you want to try to straighten them up as good as you can. And I usually just use a single hook only because some people will use multiple hooks, but I usually just use a single hook because the more hooks you got, the more you end up getting tangled, especially when you're ice fishing. You got all this ice fishing gear on you. Next thing you know, you end up hooking your glove or your sleeve.
Yeah, by the way, there's actually an ice fishing jamboree going on today at this time that this is being recorded. And you can see if all these like tents were like compiled into like one area, it would be just like a little mini village of tents.
Yeah, you can. This is only one part of the lake, and this is the most I've ever seen out here on Tishigan. Now I'm happy for the people that are out here, but Grandpa Joe living here, I kind of enjoyed my like having. It was almost like our own lake out here before. Now I think that Tishigan is starting to get to be known.
Yeah, now it's becoming everybody's lake.
Well, it used to be years ago. I think it's kind of changed through the years. Okay, we got that last hole.
So while we were probably dragging those,
Something fell off over there, huh?
tell you what, so while we're probably doing this, explain kind of like how Tishigan has changed over the years, over the past, 13 years that we've been here?
Yeah, well, I actually been kind of on the lake. I used to live across the street from the lake. We bought a lot, and that was back in 1995. I bought that, and at that time, the lake, the river portion of the lake, it barely had any weeds at all. It was just kind of like a mud hole. Everything was all muddy. But the main lake, it had weeds, and we had there was pretty good fishing in the main lake. But in the river, all you catch is pretty much just catfish and carp.
Because they're the mud lovers, basically.
Yeah, that's basically it. And yeah, through it kind of changed back in, I think it was 2008. We had a big flood.
Yeah.
It might have been 2007, one or the other, 2008 or 2007.
It would have been 2008.
They called it a 500-year flood.
Oh yeah, I remember
Once in
that.
every 500 years we'd have a flood like that. And the water level raised by about, at least 4 feet in the lake.
I know for a fact that it did cover our pier mostly.
Well, it came. It was kind of creepy. Oh, there's no flag on this one. We'll have to come back out and put something on there, huh?
Or we could just be on the lookout for when the pole comes up.
That's pretty hard to see.
Not for me, anyway.
I think we'll have to wait with that one. We'll just use this for a jigging hole.
Okay. So, what about the whole 500-year flood stuff?
Oh, I'm sorry. Anyway, that year that flood came, it's like it washed down nutrients or something happened, but also the water clarity during the flood, you would think it'd be kind of the opposite, that it'd be all muddy and stuff in the lake.
Because of all the runoff?
Yeah, you would think, but the lake was clearer than I ever remembered seeing it.
Yeah.
And I think that's why weeds started to grow in the river, because it was finally clear so the sunlight could get to the bottom. And this is my theory anyway. And after that year, weeds started to grow in the river, and then the water clarity went up in the river, and ever since then the fishing's gotten progressively better, because with the weeds you have food and oxygen for all the fish. So a lot of people that are regular boaters, they don't like all the weeds, but if you're a fisherman, you like it very much, and you should like it even if you're a regular boater, because the water clarity gets better.
A lot better.
Tishigan's a very deep lake.
Yeah, maximum depth according to the Wisconsin DNR I think is like 56 feet.
No, 65.
Of course, I switch numbers. 65 feet.
Yeah, and so anyway, that's what happened. Ever since then, the fishing's gotten better out here, and things have looked up that way. But there's a continuous battle with. Oh, I see somebody caught a fish over there. It's flopping on the ice.
Flop, flop, flop.
I was thinking, a couple poles fell out of the thing. I was thinking maybe give it a little bit of a try at jigging, and then maybe we can go and check out some other people's fish.
Okay, so continue.
I'm kind of. I think that was the direction I was going with it. The fishing got better because we have weeds, but it's a continuous battle with there's a water management program, and they want to. It seems like they're always wanting to kill weeds, kill, and they dump chemicals into the lake, just like you kill your weeds in your lawn with Roundup. They use basically the same thing. They dump it into the lake.
Yeah,
they kill the weeds.
Which can kill the fish.
Yes, it can. They say that it doesn't harm the fish, but it's not true.
That has never been true. You know, chemicals are gonna kill something.
Yeah, it harms the fish.
Like chemicals are gonna kill something other than the intended suspect or something.
Especially when their ideal time to spray is the same time that the fish are spawning, because early in the year is when they like to spray the weeds before the weeds get too big. That way they kill them while they're tiny.
Yeah, it's been oh, there we go. We got a gas drill or something. Yeah, there we go.
There's the gas drill. Today it doesn't bug me too much today, the gas drill, because there's so many people out here that it sounds almost normal. But you're out here on a day where it's just the most peaceful serenity, and then somebody starts up the augers, it can be irritating.
Yeah, now we got an ATV going like 20 miles an hour.
No.
But
I don't think I got my bugs.
Oh.
They're in the home.
Yep, there goes an ATV going like 30 or something miles an hour going out.
Dominic, why don't you go ahead and just keep on rambling on? I'll be right back.
Yep. So basically, what my thoughts are over my 13 years living here, like semi-living here on Lake Michigan, is that I really love this place. So I remember the 2008 flood actually quite vividly, and I remember watching the television at that time, and this is basically about the time when I started getting my meteorological if I can start talking here, meteorological gig here going, like, that I've been now pursuing for almost 10 years now. Basically, I kind of love this place, and when they say it was a 500-year flood, I don't even think I can remember this quite as vividly as it was. I'm just gonna start speaking downward here. And when they said it was a 500-year flood, I remember first hearing that. I just don't think we're ever gonna see something like that again, and so my brain's kind of like held on to that sort of memory here. Now, when Grandpa Joe was talking about the weeds coming here on Lake Michigan and improving fishing, it's kind of like a three-way battle between the fishermen, the boaters, and the water management program. I guess for the people who like just want some clarity, no pun intended here on the water, for some clarity here, basically, look, the fishermen are entirely pro weeds, basically, if you know what I mean. And they want like the fish to start coming, and I bet there is some species that came from downstream, down the Fox River, and they came up here. And over like the past few or so years, like this is at 9 years later, nah, about almost 10 years later now. I think the flood struck in July, and I'll post up something right now about the flood here. And so this is basically what it is. Like, I guess you could say 9.5 years later, Michigan, like probably after that, thanks to the 2008 flood, Lake Michigan's become a pretty well-known lake in Wisconsin. Yeah, in Wisconsin, and I was gonna try to gather my thoughts here, and that it's kind of love here because I've been semi-living here for the past 13 years, ever since 2004, and back then it was 4 years before the flood, and that I just can't believe how Lake Michigan has come. It's come so far from what it once was. And Grandpa here, he's been living on this lake for, well, not this particular part of the lake. He's been living here for 23 years, and I've been living here for 13. Well, for about 13 and a half. Because if I think about it, yeah, I've been living on this lake here for actually all of my life now that I think about it. For all 14 years that I've been living here, 14 and a half years that I've been living here. And this is really nice. Speaking of which, I think, yeah, Grandpa's come back out. By the way, we got like a little fishing camera here to spy the little fishies as we kind of like make our way into this sort of thing. So I guess this could be
I found some tape to make a flag. We can use this as another tip-up.
Well, that's a DIY project, I guess. It's like a very simple DIY project.
Duct tape. Is that what it is? Duct tape project?
Yeah.
Red duct tape.
Well, if you can't fix it, duck it.
Well, it's a pretty good fix, actually. Yeah, I think that other one over there has duct tape. It's red duct tape.
Yeah, and Grandpa, I was like talking about the whole 500-year flood and how it impacted Lake Michigan and how basically a three-way battle. Actually, I'm just going to continue that three-way battle type thing, because fishermen, as I mentioned earlier, are like basically pro weeds, if you catch my drift.
You know,
the boaters are somewhat in the middle, like with this. Like some boaters don't like it, but the general consensus is that some do, some don't. And then the water management program's like, no, it's like they're anti weeds.
Well, there's luckily we have one or two on there that kind of are on our side. Otherwise, we'd be screwed.
That is absolutely right. Like, I've been kind of like poking in and out about the whole water management program lately, and how it's like impacting, because I knew how they were like impacting the lake and whatnot. Because I guess I could create a diagram that I'm gonna pop up right now. Post editing, like post processing and whatnot. It's like the fishermen are pro weeds, the boaters are like somewhat neutral, and then the general consensus for.
There's some boaters that are just, they wish a bomb would just go off and kill every weed in the lake, and then they don't have to worry about it.
Yeah. But then, of course, if they were literally have a bomb in the lake, then that was going to generate a good wave.
But there is also on the lake, there's a dredging program that They've been trying for years to get this dredging project underway. I think that's the answer to the issues here, because
It's to dredge.
if they dredge it, the water will be deeper, so the weeds won't be as big of an issue because they'll be below the motorboat props, you know.
Yeah.
So I think the dredging is kind of the answer, but it's a costly answer. That's the problem,
For sure.
you know. So once it's just a matter of time. Once it, oops, I'm sorry. Wow, this hole already iced up over the top.
Yeah, it did.
It's such a beautiful day out here. It really doesn't feel too bad, but it is cold. But because of the sunshine, it doesn't feel so bad.
Yeah.
And we're dressed for it.
But anyway, like with the general consensus of the water management program, there, as Grandpa mentioned, that there's some people that are pro weeds, but most of them are anti weeds, and that without those couple people, yeah, I think Lake Michigan would be just out for good. But thanks to those couple people, we got Lake Michigan restored to the way it is, the way it was meant to be, so to speak.
I wonder if Roland's out here. He's a friend of mine.
Yeah. There it goes. Got the thing here. Here, let me turn out the brightness and contrast for this thing, so the GoPro can see it. If I can turn it up there.
Let's just get it so we can see it ourselves first. It was actually working, Vera. What did we do here? What did you dial?
I didn't
there.
dial anything.
There we go. Yeah. Go a little bit farther away. This.
And if we can't see, I can always post process it.
Yeah, I'm gonna try jigging. Get away from the hole. Maybe.
So, what I'm thinking about here is that I was trying to get the sun out of the way.
I already had a bite. You see that?
Already had a bite. So on this AquaView fish camera, there is an audio out port on that thing, and so we were thinking about doing I was thinking about once we have the new transmitters arrive, because if you remember from episode 4 that I accidentally fried the transmitter on it, so we're waiting for the new ones to arrive here, and it should arrive within maybe a few hours to a couple days.